Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
You know, we spent a little bit of time talking about elder law and elder law attorneys' fees. You know, obviously no one wants to pay any attorney's fees if they can avoid it.
No, certainly, that's understandable. But on the other hand, the alternative is a pretty steep nursing home bill that you may pay indefinitely until you get answers as how to fix that.
And so we challenge people every day is when a client comes to talk to us, the first thing we tell them is we're in business to add value. We're not in business to charge fees. If we're not adding value, we should not be engaged. And actually, we're both very sensitive to making certain that anything that we do makes economic sense.
Well, certainly. And so in many cases, we're drawing pictures and showing people how the finances are going to work under a variety of scenarios. And so it's up to the client then to pick the plan that makes the most sense.
And you know, we represent people in a lot of different environments. First of all, we represent people in just purely a pre-planning mode. You know, you have a couple sitting there, they're 75 years old, nobody has any specific health issues, and so they want to know how to protect themselves. Well, the first thing that we're very concerned about is married couples, both under Pennsylvania law and Maryland law, many times have the opportunity to protect all of their assets.
Exactly, and so in that pre-planning situation, we're diagramming and showing how the rules work specifically in their situation, because it's very unique and it may change, and the answers may be different from husband to wife and vice versa.
And there's no cookie cutter answers to these questions. You know, when we look at married couples, you know, Pennsylvania has some benefits involving retirement accounts. Maryland has some better benefits regarding business assets. You know, they all have some interesting issues regarding converting assets to income. And so there is no single cookie cutter answer. Every family situation is different.
Well, that's what makes it interesting for us, but I know it makes it frustrating for families. But it also makes it dangerous, because if they're going down the path of doing what Aunt Millie and Uncle Billy did, then, you know, that may be the wrong answer.
And so we sit down with families. So that, you know, healthy 75-year-old couple, I have people say, well, I heard it cost $10,000 to talk to you. And the answer, absolutely not. I don't even know where that came from. Because the reality is we bill by the hour for the services that we do, and the documents are relatively easy and inexpensive. It's not the documents themselves, it's understanding why you need them and what your options are.
Right, and it's that whole understanding your rights and the planning opportunities we have that go into it. I mean, anybody can print off a paper off the internet, but that doesn't give you the power of knowledge and understanding how you can take care of yourself.
And then, of course, when we're dealing with married couples and single people to a lesser degree, you know, everybody's out there telling them they have to have a trust. You know, you have the lady on TV telling everybody they have to have a trust. But the reality is that trusts are really huge problems in long-term care planning. And avoiding a probate, which is just a nominal expense compared to the $10,000 a month nursing home bill, and a trust will almost always interfere with your ability to qualify for government benefits.
Well, that's a good point, because people are being told stuff that isn't necessarily true or complete, and they build these things with the wrong language in them, and then in a nursing home setting we have to undo everything, which is just a silly waste of time and money.
So you spend a bunch of money with these trust mills getting a
Right.
trust, which is absolutely useless, and in most instances they have some poison pills in them that can really make it almost impossible to easily qualify someone for government benefits.
Exactly. If the wrong language is in there and you can't trigger either their termination or distribution, you run the risk of being stuck paying a bill indefinitely.
And oftentimes these trusts say that only the person can do it. The power of attorney can't do it for them. So that person's in the nursing home suffering from dementia. It may be very difficult to get those assets out of that trust in order to qualify them for benefits.
That's a good point. And so, people have trust for a variety of reasons, but even if you do have one, you need to make sure the language is proper, or else amend it so that you don't have those poison pills.
And by the way, we don't change documents that don't need to be changed. So many times the will doesn't get changed.
Right.
Maybe the health care directive is out of date. The power of attorney, unfortunately, more often than not, does need to be changed, just simply because it was not done by a person who understands what's required to qualify for government benefits.
That's a good point, because many papers don't get stale, but the power of attorney is affected by case law and changes in the legislation, and so you need to keep that one very current.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to a special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Matt Hurley from Matthew Hurley Auctions. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be here.
Matt, when we're dealing with families that obviously, as a person downsizes or perhaps a loved one has passed, oftentimes the people responsible for dealing with that are 50, 60 years old, being the parent or a child. And oftentimes as they look at that house, they go, I already have a house full of furniture. Do I need another house full of furniture?
Very few people keep very much out of a house. They'll say, my kids don't want it, I don't want it, my house is full.
One of the challenges that we have here is a shift in tastes, and and it was very interesting when I was a young lawyer. The interests of the older generation were oftentimes the same as mine. I liked antiques, I liked historic cherry furniture, mahogany, and that sort of stuff. But with these millennials, we're seeing a completely different purchasing patterns.
People like what they remember as a child, seeing at their grandmother's house.
Right.
Well, what millennials saw was 1970. And so, that's a whole different time frame, 1970, 1980, 1960, and it's what people really like now.
And so and one of the things we caution people is don't throw anything away.
That's true. And it's more than ever. I brought a few pictures today. We'll talk about things that were actually in the dumpster that we salvaged.
And so, the fact is that people with my taste are not buyers; they're sellers.
That's
and
right.
So the reality is, you have to market to the people who are the actual buyers. And these buyers today, like stuff that are different than what people think they ought to like in some instances, and more importantly, they're accustomed to buying on the internet. They're accustomed to not touching it.
It's how they buy everything. My wife just broke her leg, and she's buying everything on Amazon. I'm going to have to take her account because it's easy. She never leaves the house. She just buys it on Amazon, and it shows up the door the next day.
And so these people will purchase with a bunch of pictures. They don't feel any need to go touch that stuff.
They don't even look at it other than online. And we do great pictures, videos, whatever they need. They don't even show up to look at it.
And one of the things you tell people is don't move anything.
Yeah, don't move it. Let it where it's at.
Because in fact, oftentimes grandma positioned that in its best possible look, and once you put it in a different environment, it doesn't look as good as it
Just
looked.
doesn't look the same.
All right, we have director Greg pull some pictures
Okay.
up, because unlike that TV show on PBS, we don't do estimate, we do real.
This is
stuff.
real. This is real money here.
That's
This
what-
was in a recent auction, and what's interesting is someone accidentally threw this in a dumpster, and one of my staff members had to dig it out. But you can see it brought $750. It's a good early mechanical bank. So one of those things, they thought, it's just a toy. This is silver dollar, but silver dollars usually bring $20 to $30. But the right one, pictured the right way, these both brought $285 and $235.
Now, you're not strictly a coin dealer, but one of the things that you will do is help people deal with these collections. You know where to get the information.
I'm not
to
an
help.
expert on coins, but we have an expert that we call on.
And so that's really helpful here.
Yeah. This is
Obviously,
fun.
these go on the track.
This is stuff that we used to go to Goodwill.
Right.
This gets me excited. This is 7 dresses that we sold for $160 out of Grandma's closet.
Don't throw anything.
Even 5 years ago, Mike, clothing, you didn't even think of selling it because at a live auction it wouldn't sell. But
Right.
online, it reaches the right
And
crowd.
how many bidders do you have?
About 15,000. 15,000.
Grandpa's hat.
Yep. Another thing that, they're thrown away, but $50, $40, it all adds up.
40 here, 40 there. Next thing you know, it's a couple hundred.
That's right.
And so once again, is that you look at this stuff and the people are saying, well, I would never wear this, but the reality is people are interested.
Look at this.
My.
This is
my.
great. This is great. This stuff would have been thrown in the dumpster 2 years ago, but it's changing so fast. It's a corner couch and stand, and I tell you, this stuff is ugly. $220. $220.
But no,
It's
it's not. The
amazing.
buyer got a heck of a deal.
Yes, yes, yes. And this is great. If you remember these,
Right.
probably late 60s, early 70s,
Right.
the mid-century atomic clocks, I don't know how many that I've thrown away over the years. But right now, don't throw them away. The highest one there brought $260. These are actual pictures from the past month of estate sales we did.
And so what do we tell people? And this is the advantage of the way you do it, because it's on the internet. And
It
somebody
reaches the right
likes-
crowd.
Right.
It reaches the. If I was in the backyard, they're sold for $2 in a box
Right,
lot.
right.
And so this is some modern furniture, but it's at mid-century, and it's hooker, and that stuff just really sells. This is stuff that 10 years ago nobody would buy, and now they're buying it. But this is my favorite. This is a desk. That it's not the most attractive desk to me. I'd much rather have an antique desk, but I'm not a buyer. The buyers want this stuff. It brought $475. This is a local estate that it was from your office. You handled it, and this was in the attic or in the upstairs. And I looked at that. That'll never sell. $475.
So even you're guilty of don't throw it away.
It changes so quickly that you'd have to try to stay up to date because things that didn't sell last year are selling now. Things that did sell 10 years ago maybe aren't selling now.
So how can somebody get more information?
They can go to our website. It's hurleyauctions.com or give us a call anytime, 717-597-9100.
Matt, as always, thanks for taking time to
Good
appear
to
on
be
the
here.
show.
Thanks, Mike.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Ma'am, give me a good push.
Hang on, just 1 minute.
Ma'am, I need you to push right now.
Honey, you really need to push.
It's time.
Just hold on a minute.
No, right now. One push, ma'am. One push.
Just one more bid on hurleyauctions.com.
If you haven't visited hurleyauctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at hurleyauctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary health scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. My guest today is Jennifer Flaim, radiologist, associated radiologist, with some extra training. Tell me a little bit about it.
So I did my residency training, my initial training out in Dayton, Ohio, and then I came back to Maryland to do special training in women's health and specifically in breast imaging.
All right, when we talk about breast imaging, everybody's pretty well aware that it is a major health risk for women.
Yes, 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer in their lifetime.
And so what's the protocol for when people should begin mammograms?
So right now the guidelines that we're following are at age 40, women will begin getting a yearly mammogram. We see some women earlier than that if they come with a specific complaint. And also in between those yearly mammograms, if someone develops a problem, we're always happy to see them. But yearly after the age of 40 is when we recommend screening.
I understood that sometimes people who might have a significant family history might even start earlier.
Yes, if someone has a premenopausal breast cancer, if they have genetic risk factors for breast cancer, then we alter the screening protocol based on that if someone has increased risk. And there's different risk assessment models that we can look at that often will come through the Center for Breast Health, or they'll be referred from their primary care physician because they have a significant risk, and we can assess that and then tailor their screening program.
And one of the things we want to mention right out of the gate here, if there's anybody here that's resource challenged watching this, they should definitely contact your organization and the support organizations.
Yes, there are multiple support organizations for screening at the very least to help people get their mammograms, and we see people like that every day, and we're always happy to see them.
All right, now you made mention to the fact once a year. Now we have some people that are very concerned about exposure to radiation.
Yes, the radiation risk, it's always on the top of our, it's on our radar. It's something that we look at over and over again, the radiation versus the benefit that you get from it, and particularly in a screening program where lots of patients won't have breast cancer and they're getting a small dose of radiation anyhow. But it is a very small dose. And they have done research on whether or not it's significant or not, and the additional yearly radiation dose it's outweighed by the benefit of finding early breast cancers.
And of course, breast cancer diagnosing early really significantly improves outcomes.
Yes, you can have a much less invasive treatment. Sometimes it's the difference between just having a small lumpectomy versus having chemotherapy and a mastectomy. So it can be significant finding it early.
Now, if you do have a diagnosis of breast cancer, you have a very comprehensive team that works on this. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, we have a wonderful team through the Center for Breast Health, which is right next to our imaging suite, and that encompasses breast surgeons. We have oncologists, radiation oncologists. We have nursing coordinators who help to get patients to all of the appointments that they need when they get a diagnosis of breast cancer, which is very overwhelming. We also have genetic counseling. Really it's just a complete collaborative effort to come up with an individualized plan for every patient, and we meet several times a month and go over all of these new cases and challenging cases so that we can really tailor a treatment and make it patient specific.
Now, I know that one of the concerns that you have, and particularly focused on trying to get people started on this early in their lives, is that some of the disease is more aggressive if it's discovered in a younger person.
Yes, a lot in young women we tend to see more aggressive cancers, and so early detection and screening is really instrumental in finding those early cancers so we can get them to treatment.
And of course, there's a lot of controversy right now on how often it should be done. And I know that in your role as being a person dealing with diagnosis positive all the time, it's a struggle to suggest people should extend out any.
It is. When you see someone who has developed a cancer in a year, and you know that last year there was nothing visibly detectable, and in just 1 year you can see something and intervene, and someone can be cancer-free and a cancer survivor. I think that's very significant, knowing that it could have waited an entire another year. And so I think the research is important. I think we have to look at all of the information, but when you're sitting in the hot seat and seeing these things every day, it would be very difficult for me to suggest that someone forego a year of mammogram.
And of course, when you start at age 40 then, and you do it every year, or even if it's every 2 years, if you subscribe to that, you still now have an image, and so it's easier to compare that image against a change.
Yes, comparisons are critical. And so, you know, I always try to make sure that patients know, even if they're coming to us from another practice, we need those old images. That also helps prevent additional imaging and recalls. When we can compare it to something old and know whether that was there, whether it's new, those things are really important for us to have. So we try to emphasize that, especially when we get new patients, which we love to get.
Dr. Flaim, thank you for taking time to appear on our program.
Thank you so much.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation has helped create signs of community strength for more than 30 years. Scholarships assist with post-secondary education, and grants support programs throughout Frederick County. Making a big impact. Because of generous donors like you. Add your sign of community strength by creating a fund that supports the causes you care about.
Albright, Crumbacker, Mal & Idtel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services, including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. Making Sense focuses on the financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today, Sandra Miller, Senior Vice President at the Family Heritage Trust Company. Welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thanks for inviting me, Michael.
Now, Sandy, I know you had a long history working for money center banks before you came to work for the Family Heritage Trust Company. And I call them money center banks, but in reality, if you look at the way they operate, they only have one goal.
And that's to make fees.
And fees. Now, what do you mean by fees?
Well, most of the money center banks have certain products. They look at their client base and they determine perhaps which client might fit a particular product that they can make a fee from. So you're looking at an array of different products, all of which contain a fee.
Do they incent their employees to sell these products?
Yes, most of the employees in money center banks have what are called sales goals. And given the sales goals that they achieve, their salary or compensation is based on...
Or continued employment.
Or continued employment, yes, exactly.
And so they've also done it in a way that we find is completely inappropriate, is that many times some of their fiduciary employees who must act in the client's best interest also have commission-based insurance licenses.
Right, and if you are a fiduciary, that you have to walk a very fine line. And if an annuity is the product of the month, so to speak, and you're required to, bring in a certain amount of fees based on an annuity sale, you really can't make a case for that being the fiduciary proper thing for that client. You could be facing lower paycheck at the end of the month, or perhaps unemployment.
We find that the use of annuities, we occasionally use them in Medicaid planning, is a use of last resort. There are one or two out of thousands of style of products that might be appropriate in certain circumstances, but the vast majority of annuities we find are inappropriately sold, and in fact you could generate similar results without having to embed it in such a large fee product.
Right. There are a number of ways that clients can invest their money conservatively and get similar or better results from that money, and have no restrictions. They can have access to it at any time.
And that's what we find, is you'll see these guarantees in these products, and they're illusory because they'll show you some sort of a bonus that they gave, but if you withdraw the money inside of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the bonus goes away, and in fact you had a loss, and so you don't have a gain.
That's exactly right. The restrictions on withdrawals are very onerous. In some instances, you're looking at an 8 or 10% penalty, and that's taken right off the top of your money before you even get it. And in some instances, there are certain products that you can't get all of your money. You can only get certain payouts.
And so as we look at that and we're dealing with an 80-year-old who might have long-term care in front of them, or perhaps a husband and wife that have long-term care in front of them, in most circumstances, they're going to have to liquidate that annuity, and if that annuity is a recent purchase ilk, they're at high risk of having early withdrawal charges and literally having made no money on that product and in fact only paid a commission.
Yes, more than likely what they'll get back will be not a little, but significantly less than what they invested if they, in the short term, have to redeem that annuity because of emergency circumstances in their family.
And so the circumstance that they're sold as guaranteed is illusory because you have to keep it a long time in order to even potentially realize on the guarantee. And when you actually stretch it out over the period in which it takes to realize the guarantee, it's not in fact any substantial return. And so the reality is a lot of smoke and mirrors make people think they got something when they didn't. And the purpose of that being is to obscure a commission. If they actually understood it was being paid, they would have never bought the product.
That's correct. You've got to really look into the details. And if you need a second, a third, a fourth opinion, you can certainly give us a call.
And of course, the trust company is a fiduciary, and the requirement is you must act in the client's best interest. And one of the ironies that people might find is that if a customer came in with an inappropriate annuity that resulted in a substantial early withdrawal charge, you might actually tell them not to take it out right now.
Well, in all cases, if it's going to be a negative impact on the client, either through redemption penalties or significant tax consequences, we cannot advise the client to do that. But we can certainly help them negotiate with the rest of their funds a way to maintain a livable income while that annuity is continuing.
And sometimes you have to begin a workout process. It might take several years to work themselves out of it, not just taking it all at once.
Right, and we would assist them in doing that.
Sandy, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.